Hey guys, it's Olivia here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today I am going to give you my NEWTs TBR. So I did my owls back last year when I was supposed to do them, and for the first time I'm taking my NEWTs. I did all of my owls to become an alchemist, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to do the NEWTs to become an alchemist, even though that means reading 17 books. I hope I can do it. So for my TBR, I have a lot of different options for books, just because it's going to depend on how much time I have and also what I feel like reading, because I'm quite a mood reader. So I'm going to take you through some options for books that I have as well as what I plan to read. So let's get started. The first class I need to take is Ancient Runes, and to get an outstanding in Ancient Runes I need to do 3 prompts. The first one is to read a book recommended by a friend, and for that one I have 5 Feet Apart. This has recently been made into a movie, and this was recommended to me by DP Reads on Instagram, so thank you so much for that recommendation. This is one I also have already, so I'm looking forward to reading it. It's about these 2 people who fall in love. It's a contemporary romance which falls into the genre of sick lit, which I believe that's what it's called. And I think what the main character, who is female, is waiting for a lung transplant, and she can't have any contact with anything that could infect or damage her lungs, which is the complete opposite to Will, who is someone who has a lot of illness and he's kind of working through it, but if he so much as breathes on this girl, he could hinder her chances of getting better and getting that transplant. So they have to stay 5 feet apart from each other the whole time. It's supposed to be really sad and beautiful and very emotional, so I'm looking forward to reading this book and getting to know a bit more about it and maybe watch the movie afterwards. Next up, I need to read a book written in past tense, and for that I have Under the Jaguar Son by Italo Calvino. So recently I read a book by Italo Calvino and I didn't really like it, but it was still very unique, so I'm looking forward to giving his works another try. Under the Jaguar Son, it follows these 3 different stories which are happening underneath the sun. One of them has to do with a king, one of them has to do with 3 men who are looking for a certain scent, and one of them has to do with a couple which are on a quest to find this particular material that they really want. It sounds very random, it sounds very abstract, but it's not too long, which is why I chose this one for this prompt. The next one is to read a book that has been on your TBR for ages, and for that I'm going with World After by Susan E. This has been on my Kindle for ages alongside Angel Fool, which I read the other month. I think I read it for my owls actually. So Angel Fool is a post-apocalyptic story, and it follows this main character whose sister gets kidnapped, and she goes on a quest to find her sister, but to be able to do that she has to team up with this angel, and the angels are very dangerous. They are the ones that are ruling the world. So as you can see, they've got quite a bit of an enemies thing going on, but they have to be partners. Worlds After is the sequel, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And I'm very much looking forward to reading World After because I enjoyed where the first one left off. Next up, the next class I have to take is Arithmancy, and we've got another 3 prompts for that. The first one is a book that ends on an even page number, and for that I have The Colour of Shadows by Phillida Shribton. So I read Sunflowers in February last year by this author, and that was her debut novel, so I'm looking forward to trying something more by her. The Colour of Shadows is about Saffron, who goes to the attic to find family photos, but instead she finds a huge family secret that makes her so angry at her dad that she runs away. But when her friends fail her and she has nowhere to go, she has to kind of learn to forgive her father and learn more about herself. The plot, I have to say, doesn't sound amazing to me, but because it's this author and I really liked her other book, I'm going to give it a try. Next up, the prompt is to read a standalone, and for that I have A Little Princess by Frances Hodgson Burnett. So I'm reading this one for class. I have moved to Australia and I'm taking 4 literature classes, and one of them is a children's literature class, so I need to read A Little Princess. I think I read it when I was younger, but it'll be nice to revisit the story. Then the next prompt is to read a book that is longer than 300 pages, and for that one I have In the Middle of Somewhere by Rowan Parrish. I'm going to try and read my way through all of Rowan Parrish's works because she's a new adult author that I really like. So In the Middle of Somewhere is about these 2 main characters. One of them is called Daniel. He's this very sensitive guy, but he hides it behind his sarcasm and his buffed up tattooed body, and he always feels like he doesn't fit in, not with his family, not with his Ivy League school. And when he moves to a to work in a college in this small town. He is very much a city guy and he feels like he doesn't fit in there either. But while he's there, he meets this other guy who is quite the opposite to him, and they start to have a relationship. But this other guy is worried that Daniel is going to move back to Philadelphia and break his heart, whereas Daniel is just trying to get used to letting people into the walls that he never does. New adult romance, what can I say? I like Rowan Parrish's books so far. I hope I'll like this one too. Next class I'm taking is Herbology. And the first thing to do is to listen to an audiobook, and that's great because I have the complete works of Sherlock Holmes on audio read by Stephen Fry, and I'm going to be listening to A Study in Scarlet. So I didn't really like the other Sherlock Holmes books that I read for my crime fiction module last year, but I really enjoyed listening to Stephen Fry read me Harry Potter, and I do want to finish the complete works of Sherlock Holmes as I have the whole collection in physical form, so I thought why not listen to Stephen Fry read them to me, and we'll be starting with the very first one because I didn't have to read that on my course, A Study in Scarlet. Looking forward to it. This is actually one of the stories I really like. It's a murder mystery. We're going to get introduced to Sherlock Holmes for the first time, introduced to Mr. Watson. What more can you want? And the next prompt is to read a book between 350 to 390 pages, which is very specific. And for that one, I have The Affair of the Mysterious Letter by Alexis Hall. Now, Alexis Hall is one of my favourite new adult authors, but this is actually a young adult Sherlock Holmes book. I know, more Sherlock Holmes, but this one is set in a fantasy world, so there is magic involved and vampires and different creatures, and as well as that, the Sherlock Holmes character is female and the Watson character is male. I don't know if there's going to be a romance, but it just sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun. They're pursuing this blackmailer. I don't know much more than that. Can't wait to get into it because I love Alexis Hall's writing style. And then the next prompt is to read a book with a flower on the cover, and for that I have The Colour Purple by Alice Walker. So this is a book that was gifted to me by my friend right before I moved here, so thank you so much to my friend for gifting that one to me. You can see it's got the purple flower on it, and this one sounds like it's going to be a heartbreaking and sad story. It's told entirely in letters, and it's from this young girl who is in this marriage that's really abusive, and she's been abused by her father before, and her children have been taken from her, and she's kind of talking to God because God is the only friend that she has. It's going to be an emotional read. After Herbology, the next class that I'm taking is Potions, and there's 3 prompts once again. The first one is to read your friend's favourite book, and for that one I'm reading Peter Pan. This is actually something I have to read for coursework for that children's literature course, but also Peter Pan is Vendi from Caught Between Pages' favourite book, and she is a good friend of mine. She is so lovely. You should check out her channel and I'll link it down below. But yeah, Peter Pan fits perfectly for this prompt. I think you know that story. It's really well known. It features Wendy and being carried away to Neverland by Peter Pan. Then it's a book with your Hogwarts colour on the cover, and I am a Ravenclaw, so I need blue, and for that one I've chosen The Red Ribbon by Lucy Adlington. I got to meet Lucy Adlington at an event and she was really lovely. I cannot wait to read this book. It's set in World War II and it follows this main character who's a dressmaker, and she gets this job where she needs to make dresses at a prison camp. And she's also got her own secret hidden agenda, but also she's very aware that the way she makes these clothes could save somebody's life. I don't know much about the dressmaking when it comes to prison camps and World War II, so I'm very curious to learn a bit more, especially as this is something that Lucy Adlington has researched in a lot of detail and knows her stuff about. And then the next prompt is to read a book that starts with a prologue. So one of my options is to reread Romeo and Juliet by William Shakespeare. Always happy to reread that, and it doesn't take me long to read a Shakespeare play. So if I'm running short on time, I might do that. But if I do have time, I want to read The Cloaks by Agatha Christie. I love Agatha Christie's murder mysteries and I cannot wait to read more. The Cloaks is a Poirot novel, and in this one, the murder has happened and there are 4 clocks in the room which are all set to 4:13. I don't know more than that, and I don't want to know more than that before I hop right into this murder mystery. Then the next class I'm taking is Transfiguration. There's 3 more prompts for that. By the way, I'm using my planner to keep track of everything. Decided to actually use my planner for once. So the first one is to read a book with LGBT plus rep, and I know some of my previous ones include that, but for this one I'm going to say Glitterland by Alexis Hall. Can you tell, as well as Rowan Parrish, from trying to read through all of Alexis Hall's books. So Glitterland follows these 2 main characters. One of them is an author who is kind of giving up hope and finding their own love story, and the other is Felix, who is this really shy person, and they kind of meet and have a romance. What more do you need to know? It's Alexis Hall. I just know I'm going to love it already. I can't wait to read this book. Then the next one is to read a book that's not the first in the series. Guys, I'm so sorry. I'm going to be reading so much new adult in my NEWTs. But for that, I have Raised by Rowan Parrish, which was one of my most anticipated reads for this year, actually. Raised is the 3rd book in this brilliant rockstar romance series. And in this one, we get to follow Huey, who we meet in the other books. And Huey is somebody who was an alcoholic and is now sober and is really focused on helping other people stay and get sober. So he's kind of focused on his job, focused on running his business, and doesn't look for love. When he meets Felix, Felix is the oldest of 5 kids. He's really outgoing, he's really interested in Huey and pursuing him, although Felix thinks he has nothing to offer Huey. So you've got that romance there. The next prompt, which I think is going to be the hardest prompt for me to complete, is to read a book that's over 500 pages. And for that one, I have Distortion by Victor Dixon. I read Ascension by Victor Dixon and I absolutely loved it. So I can't wait to continue on with the sequel. So I'll tell you about the first one, which always makes me excited to tell people about it because it's such a unique concept. It's a speed dating show that is set in space. And there's like 6 girls and 6 boys, I think, and they're sent off in space. They've never met each other before, and they've only got 10 seconds to talk to one of the other genders, like once a week, I believe. And it's just so funny. It's reality TV set in space, but at the same time, there's something sinister behind this whole show and this whole setup. It was so good. The ending was such a cliffhanger. It was really raising the stakes, so I need to read this sequel. And last but not least, I need to take astronomy, and for this one, I don't need to get an outstanding. I just think I need to get an exceeds expectations. So there's only 2 prompts here, and the first one is a moon on the cover or in the title. So for this one, I've got 2 options again. I could either reread New Moon by Stephanie Meyer. I reread Twilight every year because I am that kind of fangirl, and so far this year I haven't reread Twilight yet. I was saving it until I moved to Australia because it's so far from home, and I wanted probably to read something familiar when I started to get homesick, so that's why I was saving Twilight. So if I feel like reading New Moon, I will, but if not, I've got Between Us and the Moon, and this one is a contemporary which follows this girl who always lived in the shadow of her sister Scarlett. So when she goes to camp and she gets to be her own person, she kind of tells this lie which kind of jeopardizes the relationship she's in, and she needs to find out how to be herself. I'm not really feeling it, but it's the only other book I have with Moon in the title or on the cover, so it might have to just be that one. And then for the last prompt, it's one that has the word night in the title, and for that I've got 2 options. If I'm running low on time, I can reread Midsummer Night's Dream by Shakespeare, which I love, so I'll have no problems with that. Or I can read If on a Winter's Night, A Traveller by Italo Calvino. Again, I didn't really like the first book of his read, but I've got 2 of his books on this NEWTs TBR. So this one is like a lot of different stories which all start with the sentence, If on a Winter's Night, A Traveller. So it's kind of a short story collection. So I was thinking I could pick up like one story, put it down, read something else, pick it up, and go like that. So there you have it. Those are all the books I'm hoping to read in my NEWTs. I will be vlogging throughout this month, so please let me know in the comment section down below if you're doing NEWTs, what's on your TBR, have you read any of the books that are on my TBR, and if you are joining in, let me know so I can head over and check out your TBR. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.